All right, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our March PTO meeting. I want to thank everyone for taking some time to attend. We have some good topics on our agenda. I will share that this agenda is not as long as usual. We usually have some students who present various clubs that are being offered at our high school. It is day one of exams, so pulling students for a PTO meeting was not ideal. So there'll be students without question during our April meeting, but I don't anticipate that this will be a full hour meeting, although there are some really important topics. We're going to jump right in with some PTO updates. And just as a reminder, if anyone has any questions, any comments, you're welcome to just literally jump in electronically. Just remember to unmute yourself. And if you don't, I'll remind you. Jan, you're up first. Thank you. And it's all yours.
Thank you. I just have a few updates from PTO. We're still looking for someone to be our treasurer next year. It is a 2-year commitment. Tracy estimated that it's roughly a couple hours of work a month, maybe a bit more in September when the PTO donations are coming in. And of course, you can still donate now. And then there's an hour and a half, 8 a.m. meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. If you're interested or know anyone who would be interested, please let me know. It's really not that time consuming, and we get to meet with TJ and do a lot of great things for the school. It's a great way to stay involved. We hope to have our slate ready to present in our April meeting. We're also excited to finally use some PTO funds that we've been holding from Polson for the class of 2024. We will be paying for a speaker that will be coming to speak to the juniors on April 3rd. Mr. Salutary will provide a few more details about this speaker later in the meeting. It's hard to believe that the spring blood drive is right around the corner. The Red Cross offers monetary scholarships to student volunteers who work at the blood drive. The amount of money is determined by the amount of pints collected. Daniel Hand only needs 6 more pints to receive one $250 scholarship and 47 more pints to receive 2. We would love to provide the scholarship as well as giving blood back to the community. So if you could talk to your kids about donating on March 27th, that would be great. And we will be sending out a sign up genius for the parent volunteers and for baked good donations soon. Finally, I think I mentioned that the Amazon Smile program has been discontinued, but we're fortunate that Stop and Shop has a reusable bag program that they will contribute to Daniel Hand PTO. So you simply buy a reusable bag and there's a tag on it. I have a sample, but it's not by me. And you just follow the directions on the tag and identify Daniel Hand PTO as the place you'd like your money to go. And we will receive a $1 donation per bag. We received a check for $120 in December, so we will put that to good use. So next time you're at Stop and Shop and you forget your bag, just don't forget to identify Daniel Hand as the recipient of the donation. That's all I have today. Thanks.
Great, Jan. Thanks for those updates. Certainly appreciate them, and hopefully someone will consider that open position. That would be really helpful. And our next agenda item, Sherry Farmer has joined us to talk about an update regarding Night at Hand. Just as a reminder to everyone in attendance, we'll have an update every month. It's getting closer now. As soon as March comes, again, trimester 3 is actually on Monday. So it's sooner than later, which is actually really exciting. So Sherry, thanks for your time. We're looking forward to the update.
Absolutely. Thanks, TJ. Good morning, everyone. A few updates from Night in Hand, like TJ said, it is getting closer. So we're starting to solidify more of our planning. We've extended the registration deadline to March 17th. Our registration return was a little lower. TJ, thank you for the announcement last week. We got some panicked phone calls after that announcement, so clearly the kids were listening, but we're extending it to March 17th. The cost is going to remain $100. Ms. Minetti in the Daniel Hand office has extra copies if you need them. We're moving into our studio space this Saturday from 9 to 12. If anyone's available and would like to help the design committee with the move-in, they're always looking for people with larger vehicles to help. The address is 144 Fort Path Road from 9 to 12 this Saturday. Auction sign up, our auction is going to be on March 31st from 6 to 9 p.m. The e-notify went out last Wednesday. You need to go on there to reserve your spot. It's free for any class. All classes classes are welcome to attend. Once you reserve your spot, you will get 5 free raffle tickets. One thing that they noted in our meeting last week is generally our sports teams donate baskets. We do have less participation with our fall and winter sports teams. So if anyone if their children are in the sports teams and you're interested in helping us make a basket for the raffle, we would really appreciate that. We're still looking for those items as well. Volunteer opportunities, while we have volunteers for our large committees, we're now looking for chair positions for bingo, carnival games, and checkout. And as always, we definitely need lots of parent volunteers all night. We try to get parent volunteers in 2 to 3 hour shifts. We know not many people want to be there from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. like us. So we will, take small increments if you're willing to support us. That Sign Up Genius has gone out as well. So please take a look and sign up if you're available. It really helps if moms and dads come together sometimes and do the 2 hour shift together and then leave. That's usually what we see a lot of parents do. And then last but not least, we're starting to work on our memory boards. The first memory board session is going to be Monday, March 27th at the Scranton Library from 5:30 to 7:30. So start getting your photos now. Lots of people don't have hard copies of photos. So go ahead and send those photos to CVS, any of your pharmacies, and get them printed and come out and decorate your child's board. Or if you'd like, you can just pick up the board on that day and deliver it back to the team. It's due back by May 15th. And that's all I have for today, TJ.
Great update, Sherry. Does anyone have any night in hand questions?
What was the date again for the memory board pickup?
The first is March 27th, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Scranton Library.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Great, Sherry, and thanks for taking on this role. I know it's a huge role, but really exciting, and hopefully we have a very high percentage, if not all of our seniors participating. It's a great event, really safe for our kids, and I've always gotten great feedback from our graduates about how much they've enjoyed the experience. So looking forward to the walkthrough on June 16th. All right, switching gears a little, Mrs. Melanie Witcher, who is one of our assistant principals, I think everyone is aware of that, is here to share 2 important topics about our upcoming school day SAT plan, as well as just a brief summary about our plan for next generation science standard assessment. Both of these assessments take place for juniors only. And we've tried different things over time with test setting, trying to create the best setting for students without adding any stress. COVID changed a lot of different things. There's been some changes with SAT. Melanie will share a lot of information. There's been some e-notifies as well. So if you're the parent of a junior, you definitely want to pay close attention to this, and obviously the impact on the rest of our school, which I think is positive during these opportunities for testing during the school day. So Mrs. Witcher, all yours, take your time, and we'll probably have some questions I would anticipate at the end.
Thank you, TJ. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk about the school day SAT, as TJ said. Some of the resources that I'm going to share, even though the test day itself is for juniors, a lot of the resources are great for sophomore parents and students to begin to explore. So you might want to look at the resources that I'm going to share if you have a student in the freshman or sophomore class as well, not just in the junior class. So in terms of the schedule, all students in grade 11 are going to take the school day SAT. We broke it up over the course of 2 dates. So it just depends on where your last name falls on what day your child will be testing. So A through MI, you're going to be testing on the 22nd of March. And then MO through Z, you're going to be testing on the 29th of March. There are some students who test with accommodations. If that is your child, you will know, obviously, and your child's case manager will reach out. We're going to have all students who test with accommodations start their test on the 22nd. But you will get an invitation for that if your child has a case manager. Students have to arrive by 7:20, so that's really important because the testing has to start on time. And once we start reading those directions and get going into testing, any student that comes late is unable to join the test late. So if your child comes late on that day, on the 22nd, there's might be an opportunity for them to test on the 29th. If not, we'll have to schedule a makeup at a later date. So making sure that they're here on time is really important. Buses are going to run on that day. If you need a bus in order to come and be at school by 7:20, you need to sign up. That was in the e-notify that was sent out on Friday. So if your child needs a bus in order to get here on time, please just sign up for bus transportation. We'll be happy to provide it. The rest of the school, so all students in grades 9, 10, and 12, as well as the other half of the juniors that are not testing on the particular day, all will have a regular school day, but starting at the 3-hour delay mark. So every single class will run, lunches will run, but it will just have a 3-hour delay. Buses will run on the 3-hour delay mark for the entire school. There's no sign up for that. They will just do their full normal runs at the 3-hour delay time. So the school day SAT is fully digital. This started last year. So students basically take the test on a digital platform. It is the same exact test that they've always taken since 2016. Basically, instead of taking the old bubble sheet and bubbling in their answers, they're just going to do everything on their Chromebooks. They have to take the test on a school issued Chromebook. So they cannot bring a personal device. The test will not load on a personal device. So that's not something that's like a Daniel Hand high school rule. That really is a college board policy. So they have to bring a fully charged school issued Chromebook on test day in order to participate. If their Chromebook is not working for some reason, or they don't have a charger, or it needs to be updated, like all of those tech things, they should really try to take care of as soon as possible. You could stop by the library, stop in the tech office, and they can look at your computer, update it, get you a new one if need be. But we want to make sure that we have a really good working device on test day. So all students are going to participate in a pre-administration session. This is basically just an opportunity for them to get familiar with the digital platform. What does it look like? Making sure this also gives us a little bit of a test to make sure Chromebooks are working. But during advisory and wellness next Wednesday, March 15th, all juniors are going to report to the dining and assembly hall. They have to bring their school issued Chromebook for this session. We're going to get them logged into the College Board site for testing. They'll get to sort of peruse a little bit, some sample questions. And again, it just gives us a checkpoint to remind them what supplies they need to bring, make sure their Chromebooks are working, answer questions they might have. So the pre-administration session is a really valuable time for students to just get familiar with testing. So some of the things that they need to bring on test day, they have to bring some type of a photo ID. It could be their driver's license, it could be their Daniel Hand high school ID card, but we just need something that has their name and their photo on it. Again, that fully charged school issued Chromebook is an absolute must. We do want them to bring pens or pencils. They can bring pens because they're not bubbling in a bubble sheet anymore. They're going to get scrap paper and a place to be able to jot down some notes or work out problems. So they do need something to write with. The test has a built-in calculator. So a lot of your students might already use this in their math classes. It's called a Desmos calculator. So that's built right into the test. It's right on their computer screen. But we know a lot of our students prefer to have a handheld calculator. So if they want a handheld calculator, they can definitely use one as long as it's one of the acceptable calculators. I'll show you where to check for that. And then if they feel like they need some extra batteries, that would be helpful as well. And the last thing they should bring, a simple snack, a water bottle. They'll have a few breaks, but the breaks are super short. So the snack has to be something that they can eat relatively quickly, no mess. An apple slices, granola bars, something really simple, and then a water bottle would be preferred. So this is where I was telling you earlier that there's some resources out there. So I'm going to go from the PowerPoint over to some of the websites to show you some of the resources. And this is where I would say any grade level could use these resources and begin to tap into some of the stuff that's available. So the first thing that I'm going to pull up on the Madison Public School page, you can look under School Day SAT. This will give you sort of that list again that I just shared of what to bring. If you are questioning whether or not your calculator is acceptable, there's a hyperlink here for acceptable calculator lists, so you can check to make sure that your child's calculator is acceptable for the test. And then all of these links on the left-hand side, I'm going to show you a few of them, but these are all super helpful. So the FAQs especially, some parents have emailed me. If you have questions, you can definitely continue to email me, but this FAQ section is going to answer almost all the questions that you might have. And then again, the embedded calculator. So if your child just wants to say, do I need my own? Do I want to use the one that's online? They can click there to be able to compare the two and decide which one they feel more comfortable with. So this is one landing page for you with a bunch of resources. I'm going to go back. The second resource that I wanted to share is this app called Bluebook. So I'm going to click on this. So Bluebook is the testing app that students are going to use on test day. They can log into Bluebook already on their Chromebooks. So the app has already been downloaded to all juniors who are going to be taking the test. It's already on their school issue Chromebook. They can click on that they're taking a test as a student. Again, they don't have to worry about downloading it unless they're doing that on a personal device. It's already on their Chromebooks. But then this shows them all of the different types of tests that Bluebook will be used for. Some of the AP testing is going to be using Bluebook, but definitely the SATs are using Bluebook. And then as you go down, it'll say testing on Bluebook, and then you can click on digital SAT, and it will literally talk you through the testing platform. So we're going to do a lot of this with the kids in that pre-administration session, but if you're curious or your child just has more questions when they get home, maybe they missed the pre-administration, this is a place where they can get a little bit more familiarity with the Bluebook app. And then the last resource I wanted to show you is the College Board website itself. So similar to the Bluebook platform, this is going to be sort of your home base for all things testing. So it gives you a little timeline for things that your child could be doing to prepare for testing. But it also gives you the 2 links on this side, which I think are really helpful. Some full-length practice tests, and then also some Khan Academy practice if they want to, do a little extra test prep before taking it. Not that any student has to, but if they just feel like they want to, the link to Khan Academy is super helpful. And then also taking a full-length practice test would also be advisable if they've never taken the test or if they just want to practice. I would do that in the next week or 2 leading up to the test day. So I'm going to pause for a minute. That is everything for SAT, school day SAT related. Are there any questions that anyone might have?
Maybe a silly question, but how long is the test?
Not a silly question. That's actually a great question. So the test is approximately 3 hours and 15 minutes. And the reason why I say approximately is because it all depends on like reading the directions, getting them logged onto their computer. And then some students get extended time. So if your child gets extended time, they might go beyond that 3 hours and 15 minutes. They'll be in a separate setting for that extended time period, so they're not disrupted. But the average is around 3 hours and 15 minutes, hence the 3-hour delay schedule. So if we go into, I'm going to go back for 1 second. If we do go the full 3 hours and 15 minutes, let me just go back to that school schedule. We anticipate that juniors that are testing will probably miss period 1 on that day and start their classes at period 2, just so they don't feel rushed going into that period 1 class like minutes after completing the test. So most juniors on test day will start going to period 2 and then through the rest of their day. So great question, Tina.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so the very last thing I wanted to talk about is just the NGSS test. This is kind of just a save the date. So all juniors, again, are going to take the NGSS, which is the science state assessment. The date for that is Wednesday, May 24th. More information will come as we get a little bit closer to that date. But some things that your students might come home and start talking about, they might come home and say, oh, we took something called an IAB. What an IAB is, an interim assessment block. It's basically like a practice NGSS questionnaire. So some students might say that they've taken that test in their science class. The IAB and the NGSS are directly linked. So if you hear some of that language, that's what they're talking about. Also similar to the school day SAT, we'll run a delayed schedule on this day. So parents can anticipate a 2-hour delay on this day. The NGSS assessment is not as long as the SAT, so we won't go 3 hours. So the students might want a 3-hour delay, but we're going to do a 2-hour delay on May 24th. So more information to come as that day gets closer, but just so you know the date, and if you start hearing some of that language around NGSS or IEBs, you know what your child's talking about. Any questions on NGSS?
Yes, is that related to college entrance or is that about high school measurement?
It's a little bit more about high school measurement. So it basically, it's similar in the avenues of seeing where our students score in relation to math and English. This is the science component of it. So they do basically get, whether or not they earn their benchmark on NGSS, it is noted. But this one doesn't necessarily go off to colleges the way an SAT goes off to colleges. But it is definitely something that we look at. It's something that we definitely think is very important. Our science teachers use the results of this to be able to prepare for curriculum adjustments. So it's very valuable information from a district state perspective.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So if you do have any questions or they pop up or your child has questions, again, you can definitely reach out, send me an email. Mrs. Jen Hawley, the school counseling coordinator, works hand in hand with me on both of these assessments, as well as Paul Mezek, the science coordinator on the NGSS. So you can reach out to any of us if you have any questions. Thanks,
Thank you.
TJ.
Thank you, Melanie. Very informative. And, we're looking at trying to create a test setting that is good for students, that doesn't cause a lot of stress. We've done various options over the years. We think this one has the most potential, so it's not disruptive where students are in the building, causing a lot of distractions while other students are in classrooms taking assessments. We also plan these on Wednesdays, so all of the students who are not being assessed, that counts as a 3-hour sleep in for Wellness Wednesday, which we think is really good for students. I'm not sure there's many teenagers who actually get enough sleep. So a few of the students who have heard about this or actually looked at our messages that we send out, we're excited about it. And even the juniors, you don't miss both opportunities to sleep in, you miss one. But if this works out as well as we anticipate, we'll follow this schedule in the future, which I think will be really positive for our students. And just be on the lookout for more messages from Mrs. Witcher about SAT. We'll just keep reminding people, and then we'll transition into the NGSS assessments as well. Again, we want our students to do the best they can, but we also don't want to cause extra stress. I think the SAT probably causes more stress to students than the NGSS, just because of the potential impact on college admissions. But Melanie's explanation of NGSS was excellent. We want our students to do the best they can, so it represents our school. And we will have them prepared for that. So thank you, Melanie. And if you have any standardized testing assessment questions, feel free to reach out to Mrs. Witcher. All right, switching gears, Mr. Farrell has joined us this morning, our athletic director. We are nearing the end of the winter season, which is incredible. A lot of high schools have finished the winter season. We're in a little different spot because we have a lot of teams doing really, really well, which is exciting. And, no pressure, Mr. Farrell, but it's usually the case. So it's nice to see, that we're talking still about winter sports, because there's many athletic directors in the state who are at this point just preparing for spring athletics. So Mr. Farrell is going to talk about some of the updates with our winter athletics programs and then transition into the spring season, which is literally right around the corner. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Farrell.
Yeah, thank you very much, TJ. So obviously just winter, TJ said it perfect. We are literally still going, which is awesome. It's something that is, a great problem to have. As far as all of our programs this winter, we have 15 different programs. Every single one of them, I felt had a lot of great highlights, whether it was team highlights, individual highlights, and accolades. It was excellent. From wrestling, being very young and, actually sending some wrestlers to opens and doing well in the SECs. And then obviously at the state level, track and field, we did, great. Again, we actually just had a, runner run in New England's, this past weekend. We had new school records on the boys side and the girls side. We had all SEC. We had someone actually win an individual state championship. So a lot of great things, track and field. Ski team was excellent. The weather wasn't great for ski this winter. Obviously, we missed a lot of days on the mountain just because we can't ski without snow. But we did do really well in the individuals. We also we had two of our top girls finish 1 and 2 in the opens, which is excellent. We hired a new dance coach this year. A lot of new energy with our dance program. We're looking, to continue that energy into next season. But we felt our new dance coach and our dance team did a phenomenal job. They competed very well at their competitions this winter. And then transitioning into some of the SEC champs, our cheerleading team, phenomenal job. I know Coach O'Day is on the Zoom today, but they did a phenomenal job at SECs. They won it for the second year in a row. Unfortunately, we had an injury, weren't able to compete at the state level, which we know we would have done really well if we were able to, but injuries held us back on that one. And then our gymnastics team, another SEC championship, as well as a state championship. They also, this past weekend, won the first ever in school history, the Open Championship. And for those of you who don't know what the Open Championship is, that is taking the divisional winner. So the Class S, Class M, and Class L winners, putting them all in one meet. And we won the overall for the state. So we are the #1 team in the state. It is a great accomplishment, something that Daniel Hand has never done. We are continuing on to New England's this weekend. We are very excited. We are one of the top teams in New England, so we are looking to compete at that level as well. Between boys and girls basketball starts tonight. They're heading to Newtown. We got some long rides, that we've encountered over the last couple of days. Girls basketball last night won an absolute thriller, double overtime up in Northwestern. I think a lot of the parents that were up there last night thought that they were actually in New York, but they were still in Connecticut. I had one parent thought that he was in Vermont. It was actually a very funny conversation. We joked about leaving breadcrumbs to find our way, back to Madison last night. And then the girls will continue on and play against Mercy, an SEC rival, on Friday. The site hasn't been determined yet. Little insider information, we're probably playing at East Haven. I know this is recorded, so it will probably be up, in the CIC will call me and be like, hey, how'd you already know that? But, just working with some of the athletic directors and knowing how the tournament works. Our girls and boys ice hockey, our girls hockey had a phenomenal regular season. They actually lost a heartbreaker in the first round of the state tournament. They competed great in the SEC tournament. It was a great team, great energy out of that program this year. We had a lot of young skaters that, just brought a lot of different dynamic with a co-op and having different schools involved. It was just something that was a great season. I know that they were, upset with the outcome of losing in the first round, but, we couldn't be more proud of them. Boys ice hockey opens up tonight at Avon in the first round of the state tournament. They'll be competing against the Farmington Valley team, which is a co-op of Avon and Farmington. We're looking forward to that game. Obviously, we're not happy with the time. It's a later time. We did everything in our power to try to change it, just because we have obviously school tomorrow with trimester exams. But sometimes we're at the ice rink is the one that really holds us hostage as far as times. And we tried everything we could. We even tried to move the date, and we couldn't get a different time. So that kind of stinks with that. But we're looking forward to that. Fencing just competed in their individual state tournament. This past weekend, we had a lot of all-state first team and second team representatives, as well as, just a great overall, competitiveness from all of our individual. They'll be heading to the team states this weekend at St. Bernard's. That is on Saturday. We're looking forward to that. We have some of our weapons we're going to do very well heading into Saturday's competition. Boys swim, another great, winter season for them. They very small in numbers, but unbelievable. We had some school records, some individual accolades. The team just got better and better every single meet. And that's something that we love to see. And Coach Butler took over this year in the winter season and did a phenomenal job. He was also SEC coach of the season for the winter for the boys swim, as well as, Dylan Leave, Coach Smith, and Coach Kelly Smith, our gymnastics coach. She was also named SEC coach of the year for the gymnastics as well. So very happy with that. I don't want to, I know it was a lot going on with winter athletics, but I didn't want to, not mention them. The biggest reason, and I spoke with, TJ about this when the PTO meeting was coming up in March, I actually presented at the PTO meeting over at Polson, and, it just came to me that a lot of things about the athletic department, really don't come to light. So I thought it was important just to kind of talk about spring sports and signups. And it also, from the PTO meeting over at Polson, I realized we have to do a better job in the athletic department, just explaining why we do certain things and why there's deadlines and what goes on. So most of you already know that the spring sports deadline for registration is this Friday. We tend to do it 2 weeks before the season starts, just due to the simple fact, the first day we have all of our students cleared, ready to go. So we can clear up any of we need your physical, you didn't take your impact test, maybe you're not academically ineligible. So ideally what starts happening is we open up registration a month before the season starts. Our health office is working continuously to try to clear all of our student athletes. They have to go in and see if there's any medical issues. If they have an up-to-date physical, they're messaging home. The coaches have access to who has been signing up. We've changed that process a little bit, so they're able to have team meetings. They're able to send messages home to parents, from student athletes that are on their roster from the previous season. So that's where, that whole month really helps us kind of get proactive. So with that first day, that first practice, that first tryout, we have everyone ready to go, and we're not having students sit out. It's very important. Right now we have, 305 as of this morning, 305 student athletes sign up for the spring. We have to go through each of those individually. The health office does, the athletic office does. We have to make sure they're academic eligible, impact test. We have to make sure that they don't always see any equipment or uniforms from previous seasons. So we're going through that. That's a continuous cycle. So, that's why there's a deadline. And then once that deadline isn't met, we are literally transitioning into the season. So that doesn't mean, our nurse doesn't work 24 hours a day. So once the nurse leaves, we can't clear a student, medically to participate. So that's why it has to wait till the next business day. And sometimes things do pop up. And if there's a number of kids that register late, that's where we come into a situation where, it can't be done automatic. We're going through each individual kid. We do the best we possibly can. As of right now, like I said, we have 305 student athletes signed up. Last spring, we had 415. So we're about 100 short. So, we do have, an influx of registrations right before, but this is kind of my plug. If you have a student athlete that hasn't signed up for spring, please do so. Make sure that, you spread the word. It will be going out on social media. I've sent it out a number of different times. We've sent out e-notifies. We'll be having my spring coaches meeting tonight. That's mandatory for all coaches, head and assistant coaches. I will be going over that as well tonight. So you'll see more communication starting to come out from our coaches. That is something we are really stressing this year to make sure that they are communicating. So tonight, they will be tasked with making sure they're sending communication to anyone who signed up, reminding parents that, hey, listen, remind friends, remind neighbors. If they haven't signed up, they need to get on Family ID and they need to sign up so that we are ready to go come the first start date, which is March 18th. March 18th is the statewide date for start. The coaches will also be tasked with sending out schedules to parents, practice schedules, tryout schedules. We'll be updating the website as well. All the coaches have been, said, bring all that information tonight. We'll collect that and then we'll start updating the website by the end of this week. So all that information is up to date and the parents and the student athletes are all well aware. The other thing is have your student athletes be paying attention to email, because in announcements, we will be having individual teams will be having meetings to just talk about the upcoming, tryouts or upcoming season. So those are all things that are in the works that are going to start happening. So just please make sure you're on the lookout for that. And then other than that, pitchers and catchers are the only thing that start early. They're going to start on Saturday. They actually start March 11th. The CIAC has allowed pitchers and catchers for both baseball and softball to start a week earlier. They work on just, their normal conditioning. And then on top of it, just really working on conditioning their arms for the season, because the pitchers and catchers do a lot more throwing. There's a lot more that goes into it. So it's just safety and liability. So they get to start really a week early. So I will, like I said, I talked earlier about just different things. I will be meeting at the 6th grade parent orientation at Polson. I'll also be meeting at the 7th, 8th grade parent orientation. Next year coming into hand, we'll start doing for the 9th grade, the Meet the Parents Night. I'll do something just strictly for athletics in the sign-up process and kind of how things go. We're going to start doing a little bit more videos that we put on, kind of how-to videos and informational videos we will put on our website as well. So it's a little bit easier so that everyone has as much information as possible. That's one thing, as the new athletic director here in Madison is I assumed, things, oh yeah, that everyone knows that's why we do this, or everyone understands. And, I preached it since I got here. I'm very transparent. I, lay everything out there. So we'll continue to do so. We'll continue to get better, continue to work on the communication from the athletic department standpoint, from our coaching standpoint, and then obviously, to the student athletes and to the families at home. So if there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I know I talked really fast. I try to get through it because I know that everyone probably wants to get going with their day, but if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer any of them.
Can you talk about the unified sports program this spring?
Yep. This spring or this winter?
Coming up for the spring, please.
Yep. All right. So we have unified track and field coming up this spring. We're in the works right now. We have a group. It's actually a family that started Tiger Tracks. I know that Principal Secretary was heavily involved in that years ago before COVID. I've also met with, Principal Hart. So we're trying to work on really making our unified track and field program even better, and really making it student driven. Tiger Tracks was student driven. It was something that was done, years ago. It is something that we want to really, bring back and really work at the middle school and the high school level to, improve it. Whether we're hosting unified track meets at the state level, I've done that before in the past. I would love to bring that here to Madison. And then on top of it, looking to CIC for grants and money so that we can start buying more and more equipment, to make them successful. That is something that, Coach Link has done a phenomenal job at the high school level. He did a great job, obviously the school year. If you were just at the staff basketball game, staff first unified basketball game, it was a great day last Friday. But moving into the spring, with track and field, we're very excited for that. And then they also host, different teams that come over. They're still going to be going a little bit more into their winter season just because they had some things canceled. So they'll start their spring season a little bit later than everyone else. That'll start, probably mid-April after vacation. But we are, going full bore on our track and field program and really trying to make sure that grows and we get more and more participation out of our students here in Madison.
Thank you.
No problem.
On that note, could you say how a student goes about signing up to do that? And two-part question, is it compatible with doing another spring sport?
Yep. So the unified sports, Mr. Link, our PE teacher at the Polson, we sent emails out just asking anyone to, if they're interested. We also, talk to the PE teachers and they actually announce it in their PE classes. And it's the same thing. It is on Family ID. Unified Sports is on there. We are looking for peer helpers all the time. Our unified sports athletes, we'd work directly with special ed on that. And that is something that we've always done, but it's the same sign up. You can sign up right on Family ID. And then on top of it, you can, without a doubt, do a spring sport and unified sports as well. We've had, winter athletes do the same thing. We had fall athletes do the same thing. It just gets very busy, but we understand our students are very busy, but, we always try to make it work. Unified usually goes right after school for about an hour. So from about 2:45 to about 3:45. So for the most part, we can make that work.
Sorry, I should clarify. I meant if you are a supporting student, not if you are a student who has identity. So that's possible to do two sports as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, that's what I'm saying for both.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Farrell, I just want to tell you, I am so impressed as a parent, the increase in communication with the coaches and the flow of information night and day, to be honest with you, from last year, years past. So just to let you know, positive parent feedback on that. It's been terrific. And then the only other question I have, and this might be too inside baseball, but do other sports or do the sports have time in the afternoon to work in the weight room? Is that part of the curriculum as far as building up muscles and coordination, that kind of thing? Because I don't, again, communication with teenagers, don't really hear much about it, but is that part of it? And can it be encouraged if it isn't done that much?
Yeah, so on Family ID, I know a lot of people, and this is something that I assumed everyone knew, it has the Tiger Fitness Center. You can sign up for the Tiger Fitness Center. So the weight room is open. We actually pay for someone to be in the weight room every season, every single day, Monday through Friday. We have a coach or a teacher that is in there they're overseeing anyone who wants to go and use the gym from 3 to 5 o'clock. So we can't get into Polson until 3 o'clock just because they obviously have a school day going on and we can't interfere with the school day. But we do have someone from the start of September all the way till June. Someone is in there, that we can allow our student athletes, any student, they don't even have to be on a team, to go over and work out. We just ask them to sign up on Tiger Fitness so that we can just kind of make sure that they are medically cleared to do any type of physical activity. And then switching more to the team side, some coaches go in there and they work out strictly just with their student athletes. We kind of work a schedule around, the coaches and myself work a schedule around. So as of this winter, football was working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Baseball was coming in afterwards. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, softball was going in, and then softball would usually jump in on Fridays as well. So we did have 3 teams that were working out as a team. here on campus. So that does happen. Also, if there's times where the track and field program, I know the track coaches, in the spring, they've asked to have throwers come in and lift. So they'll actually send a coach in and they'll go lift with their student athletes, as part of practice. So there are things that we do, but we will do a better job at communicating, how the weight room works. Cause I know that is something that, I just realized this during the winter season and actually seeing it, because we've had plenty of students that do sign up and go over there. We actually have students at the middle school that sign up and go in to the weight room as well. And we are paying someone to be there, but we're going to do something a little bit different on the website as far as the Tiger Fitness Center and kind of the do's and don'ts, frequently asked questions kind of thing, so that area is a little bit better.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm trying to find where oh, there we go. So for the practices that start later in the day, if it's a 3:30 practice, are they able to stay at school for that time period?
So the library is open till 4 o'clock. There's not an area where, the coaches, let's just say, a supervised area. The library is the only area. We ask that the students don't just wander. But as long as they're not doing something they shouldn't be doing, they're fine. But the library is open till 4 o'clock. We do have a support staff in there so that students go in there and do their homework. That happens, all the time, whether you're a student athlete or not. So that is something that does happen. There are days, if people are sick or, things do come up or there's meetings, that the library could be closed. And then we also have the cafeteria. Principal Secretary, what time is the cafeteria serve food till? Is it 3:30?
Usually until the line of students who want something ends. So it
Okay.
could be as early as 2:30 on a Friday, but midweek, it's usually a little bit later. They serve until all the students get through.
Yeah, so we've had students that go and actually get food, and then they can hang out in the cafeteria and, eat, a snack before practice or something like that. We also have a large number of students that stay after, meet with teachers or go to clubs and activities. So that's kind of how that works, Tina, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Really
No
great updates for the winter athletic programs. We'd love to see more fans in the crowd for the big playoff games. The energy is always exciting. Important updates, obviously, for the spring. We do get cases where, the day of the first tryout where a student doesn't have their health form, just so everyone's aware, we don't let them participate for safety reasons. And we don't like putting students in that position. So if you can really, pay attention to those deadlines, they'd be appreciated. And the parent questions are excellent. Thank you for, taking that role as well. And Mr. Farrell, I could just echo, you've been an incredible addition to our admin team. So thanks for all your hard work. And we'll chat at hockey tonight. That should be a lot of fun.
One more question. Sorry.
Yes,
Hey, Chris.
John, go ahead.
I know in the fall you had a parent booster meeting. Are you planning on doing that for the spring sports?
Well, the meeting in the fall was for all the sports. So we'll be doing another one with the follow-up. The questions are going to go out and all that stuff. We just right now are having all the boosters club kind of work. I know we have a lot of booster clubs that are trying to start. We have booster clubs that are we're just trying to get the guidelines out there. So that's something we'll continue to work on. So the first step was the fall. I was actually more into the winter. And then we'll have another one come this spring, just to kind of go over some of the things that information wise, as far as what booster fees go to and all that.
Are you planning on updating the booster rules in the athletic handbook?
In that meeting, that's exactly what that meeting was all about. So everyone was tasked to going in the handbook and looking at the rules, what works, what doesn't work, and then working with coaches. Ideally, the coaches are going to have, a big voice in that process, because, the coaches are running our athletic program within each thing. So if there are some sports that, feel that they don't need a booster program, or they don't need a booster club due to the simple fact of, setting up a 503C is a lot of work. It's not something that's very easy. We can't just, go and say, yes, we want to be a nonprofit 503C. But there are a lot of things that we do have to clean up as far as booster club processes and procedures. So we will be, going over that. And that's what right now in that meeting, everyone was tasked with, and we'll send another email reminder out, just going what works within your boosters club, what doesn't work, what would you like to see different, what would you like to see go away, because right now that hasn't been updated in a number of years.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely interested in that. So we'd like to make sure that we get invited.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks again, Mr. Farrell. We'll definitely bring you back to some PTO meetings. The updates are always helpful, as well as the ability to answer some questions. So I have a quick just 23-24 master scheduling update. If you work in a high school, you certainly know at this time of the year, you're focused on ending the year really well, but you're also focused on next year. So if you have a senior, this doesn't really apply to you at all, but if you have anyone who's an underclassman, including an 8th grader, Mr. Bodner is at a hidden location offsite just because he's deep in the process. That's why he's not on today's meeting of the master scheduling for the 23-24 school year. We recently have mailed home the actual list of courses that our students have signed up for. You know, obviously you signed the course request form about a month and a half ago, but if you receive that information and there's something on there that doesn't seem like it's accurate, like again, if your child has taken Spanish for 2 years and you see Mandarin, that could be a certain transition in course of study. But if you're wondering, talk to your child and then reach out to a school counselor immediately, because we build our entire master schedule based on student requests. We don't go in with any preliminary plans. We let our students drive the schedule. And that is a daunting process. Again, that's why Mr. Bodner is not available. I made him go offsite so he can get this work done because it's really important. But I would ask that everyone just takes a look for the actual mailing. If you haven't received it yet, it will be coming soon. And just check the courses. And again, that's not your actual child's schedule. It's just the courses they've signed up for. And, you know, we hope to actually have the schedules finished before going into the summer months. And then we tweak them just before the first day of school as necessary. The last part of our agenda today is just to talk about the school calendar and some upcoming events. I'm going to share my screen for a moment just so people can reference what I'm talking about. So we did have a snow day, which, you know, seemed strange this year. And, you know, I was faced with a question. We typically will always move the school calendar a day for every school cancellation. This timing was interesting because our students have a 3-day weekend coming up. I spoke to a lot of students, a lot of faculty, several parents about, you know, what impact would it be if we didn't move? What's your preference if we move? And I will tell you, it was pretty much 50-50 across the board. So all of the requests for input weren't very helpful because, you know, basically whatever decision I ended up making, I was pretty confident that half the people in all of those groups would be upset with the decision. But I decided to keep the trimester dates where they are so all of our students and our faculty could have a 3-day weekend without worrying about exams, and then jump right back into the school year next Monday with the start of trimester 3. So if you were wondering where that came from, I did talk to hundreds of people about that decision, and it was pretty much a split. I had a few people say to me today who didn't like the decision that it seems like a good one because they're looking forward to just wrapping up trimester 2 on Thursday afternoon and then starting with a new trimester of the school year on Monday. Couple of the bigger events that I just wanted to list calendar-wise that I think are important. Now, this is not all-inclusive for sure. If you're available, we have a college and career fair combination event on March 15th at 6:00 p.m. And those two events separately are incredible. Together, I think it's absolutely fantastic. We would love every student and every parent to attend. I think it would be outstanding. The amount of information about just options and opportunities on both ends of college and career are really incredible. And if you go on our school counseling website, you'll be able to see the colleges and universities planning to attend, as well as the various businesses, mostly local, but not all. A really great evening. Between the March 20th through 31st dates, schools in Connecticut are required to give our students, our parents and guardians, and our faculty input on the overall climate and not temperature, just like the feeling and safety of school. So we'll be sending pretty short surveys to parents and guardians. It's a separate survey. Our entire faculty will be surveyed and our student body will be surveyed during that 2-week window. We're hoping to get close to 100% participation. because we do value the input and it helps drive some of our improvement goals as we work towards the end of the school year and the start of next school year. So when you see those, just it's worth noting that every public school in Connecticut from elementary school through high school are required to send those every 2 years. So we're up in a couple of weeks. That should be, I think, really positive because we usually get great participation. Melanie did an awesome job explaining the school day SAT on those 2 dates. Just a quick clarifier, the blood drive is on March 28th, not March 27th. So mark your calendars. We're hoping for great participation. As Jan mentioned, we had some PTO funds from Polson that transferred over for the class of 2024. And our school counselors did a lot of work looking for a presentation that we thought could be really applicable to our students. We've talked to several schools who have had Alicia Farrell, no relation to Chris Farrell, but Alicia Farrell is coming in on April 3rd. And the topic she's presenting on is about managing stress and anxiety just with the college application process, which a lot of our juniors are starting to feel right now. If we get input from our students in this current class and they say that this was a valuable presentation, we plan to bring her back on a yearly basis, but this is a great use, in our opinion, of those funds. We're excited to use those for a great opportunity for our current juniors. You know, vacation, unless you play, on a spring sports team, is April 10th through 14th. So just mark your calendars. Our musical, The Lightning Thief, I'm really excited with that selection. I would love to see our attendance at that event get a little bit bigger. There are performances scheduled on a Thursday and Friday evening. There's an afternoon and evening performance on Saturday the 22nd. We have a talent show put on by our Habitat for Humanity. The talent of our student body is incredible. It's a really fun Friday evening event. And that's one like the whole community. It's not geared towards just high school age students or parents. We'd love to see a huge attendance at that event because it's an excellent fundraiser. On May 11th, we have a combined art show and band concert. It's a wonderful afternoon into an evening. If you have some time, it would be great to come and walk our building and see all of the great artwork that's displayed on all of the different floors in both buildings. And then you could follow up with attending an incredible band concert. Junior prom, we have a pre-assembly. We always talk about juniors. We have different topics on May 17th, just to encourage good decisions. Orchestra concert, you can see the date. We did have some funding and we're bringing Jenny Wenderoth back to Daniel Hand. She's actually a graduate from several years ago. She presented on, a pretty important topic, to say the least, about sexual assault and the transition to college. I was present at her presentation prior to COVID. It was outstanding. COVID put the brakes on a lot of opportunities for presentations. We're excited to bring her back. She'll be talking to our senior class on May 19th. We'll send out information prior to that and make sure students are aware of this topic. This isn't one of those topics where you just surprise students with a walk into the dining and assembly hall and talk about it, but very powerful, very important presentation. Mark your calendars, junior prom, Friday, May 19th. We have a nice choral concert on the 24th. And then for our seniors, just worth noting, there will be a separate calendar that goes out to all parents of this current class of 2023. We have a few things that are not officially scheduled yet because we're waiting to see if there are going to be any school cancellations based on weather, but some of the things that are in stone. We have a pre-prom assembly, as well as an end of the year meeting with our seniors during the school day on June 1st. Their prom is on June 3rd. That's a Saturday evening. If you haven't gone down to the green a couple of hours before the start of the prom, I suggest you do it. It's an awesome environment, seeing all the kids and families taking pictures. And then graduation, just as a reminder, no matter school cancellations or not, is on that Friday, June 16th. Night in Hand is also on that evening. So I will be adding details about each of these in my weekly messages, just so people have that information. But I do think the school calendar has a lot of great things remaining as we get into the last trimester, and we would love to have a lot of people attending or participating in our events, like concerts, for example, career fairs and talent shows. But again, I will share a lot of information about those as we move forward throughout the school year. And if you're a member or a parent, excuse me, of the class of 23, in the very near future, usually the first week in April, we talk with the class advisors and we pretty much confirm it doesn't look like there could be a snow day again. And then we'll send out some of the dates of things like the brunch, for example, and senior awards. We'll send out information about the yearbook dedication and distribution. So that calendar is, not again in stone just because we're waiting on weather. So that concludes our PTO meeting, unless anyone has any questions about upcoming events. And again, I will get all of the details about the particular events as they get closer. All right, I want to thank everyone for their time. When, hopefully the exams go smoothly for your children and we'll be in T3, which is incredible. This year is flying by. As always, reach out if you have any questions, and I do appreciate everyone for participating in this PTO meeting today. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.